Ambassadors, it's Paul Lavoie, Connecticut's Chief Manufacturing Officer, and welcome to the State of Manufacturing webinar series. I'm here today with Ron Angelo, President and CEO of the Connecticut Center of Advanced Technology, and Dr. Jacquelynn Garofano, Chief Technology Officer for CCAT. Welcome, Ron and Jackie.
Welcome, Paul. Thanks for having us.
So, Ron and Jackie, before we talk about the importance of innovation in the manufacturing sector, please tell our ambassadors about your background and experience, and then tell the ambassadors about the Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology.
Sure. Well, hey, look, for all of our ambassadors, it's going to be great because I didn't have a manufacturing background. I came out of business. All of my various careers were more business-oriented and certainly finance-oriented. Never thought I'd be leading a technology center. So, you know, for the ambassadors, you never know what opportunities are out there. You never know what exists. So I've had a lot of experience in the private sector, finance, public. So I've done a lot of government, state and government funding and financing, and done even a little private equity work. So some nice early stage companies. So exciting background in finance, but the job I'm in now is absolutely the best.
Great. Yeah. Jackie, tell us a little bit about your background.
Great. So I'm a first-gen college student, so no one in my family is a scientist or an engineer, so I found my way into STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, through going to Southern Connecticut State University, getting into the Honors College, studying physics because I wanted to be an astronaut, but ended up finding my way doing research as an undergraduate, and then eventually that led me to grad school at UConn, became an engineer, studied material science and engineering, found my way into the United Technologies Research Center, now of course Raytheon Technologies. And I did a stint there of almost 10 years as a research scientist. And then the universe had a grander plan for me, so I was able to land at CCAT as their Chief Technology Officer about 2 years ago.
Well, I can see, Ron, why you don't need a background in manufacturing.
You do not.
You've got Jackie on your team.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So tell us a little bit about the Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology. Tell about your mission and what you do in the manufacturing ecosystem.
Sure. You know, our mission for nearly 20 years now is to support the manufacturing supply chain. CCAT and a couple other entities were established because of the offshoring that was taking place. A lot of some of the best capabilities that the U.S. had for what we were known for, our history in manufacturing, were being offshored. So, you know, how do we make sure that we help companies with their technical capabilities, their workforce, their training, and we do that in a lot of different ways, things that Jackie leads. So, yeah, it's a 501c3. Our mission is to support the supply chain.
So talk about how, Jackie, like CCAT is structured and some of the services that you offer for manufacturers so the ambassadors can understand that a little bit better.
So we're a nonprofit, as Ron said, but a small company. So we're about 40 individuals strong, about a dozen folks on our technical team. We have a workforce innovations team. We also have our administrative team, which supports our money for manufacturing programs. So I shared with you that I was at Raytheon Technologies, and I love to tell people that 10 years at Raytheon doesn't compare to the 2 years at CCAT, just because of the breadth of work that we do, how we support manufacturers, the small to mediums in particular, those that we are able to enlighten about advanced technologies that are easy to implement into their business. So we really offer turnkey solutions for those manufacturers. Our team works really hard. We're boots on the ground in both getting workforce into manufacturing, going in and tapping into the urban cores in Hartford and venturing downstate into Bridgeport and New Haven and Groton, of course, and then Waterbury. So we have a diverse portfolio. We do a lot. So I know you like to say, Connecticut, we punch above our weight class, and at CCAT, we absolutely do that same thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're going to dive into some topics, and I want to have you elaborate on those. So let's start talking about innovation. So as you both know, the Connecticut's Manufacturing Strategic Plan was released yesterday, and that entire plan is built on a foundation of innovation, right? We must innovate to maintain our competitive advantage in manufacturing. So there's a couple of programs that you're leading for the state. So let's talk about one of them. One of them is the Digital Transformation Program. So talk a little bit about that program at CCAT and how our ambassadors can spread the word to our manufacturers about how they can get involved with the digital transformation and help transforming their business.
Well, look, Paul, these programs couldn't come at a more important time. So the delivery of these particular programs through digital transformation are going to be vital, not just today, but in years ahead. So we've structured these programs in such a way where you've got this diverse team and you've got partners outside coming together out there in the community, the manufacturing associations, to evangelize the message about these programs. So getting the message out, number one. Jackie and her team will she'll get into the specifics about what the programs actually do. But it starts for me from the business side. How do we make sure that, at least from my angle, does it make sense for business? How do we explain to them that the return on investment and the long-term stability and resiliency of their business relies on this? Some of these changes have to be made. So how do you take advantage of these programs the right way and the nuances and the team that Jackie leads to make sure that they're making the right decision, the right solution for them?
So Jackie, tell us a little bit about what those solutions are and what we're doing.
So, well, everyone's talking about workforce challenges and how we have robotics and cobots, the collaborative robots. So that's part of our digital transformation portfolio. You might have a question coming up about that later, so I'll hold for that particular discipline. Model-based definition is one of the disciplines that CCAT has really been focused on with our partners, of course, with yourself and DECD, with Constep, with Central Connecticut State University, coming off of a federally funded program. We focused on piloting with a small cohort of Tier 1 suppliers to our 3 big OEMs. But now, of course, we need to scale. And so model-based definition is really all about moving away from paper, which some of our small to medium-sized manufacturers may be challenged in doing, and getting into three-dimensional space, right? So creating a 3D model of all of the technical information, that technical data package, to send down the life cycle of manufacturing. So when it goes through manufacturing, production, test validation, and then once it hits the supply chain. So that is a really big focus area for us. So if you hear us talking about MBD, that's exactly what it is, model-based definition. Another one is adaptive automation, which is inclusive of course, robots and collaborative robots. So we call them cobots. Industrial IoT, taking data and understanding data off of your manufacturing tools. That's really critical, and it also funnels into model-based definition. So these might seem like really big, grandiose, uncertain, things that are coming out of my mouth, but CCAT and our partners, we definitely do have a lot of resources and tools to demystify what those are and how we as CCAT and our partners are creating turnkey solutions for manufacturers. So right out the gate, they're able to incorporate workflows and incorporate technology in the digital transformation space, all about the 4th Industrial Revolution.
Right. So we talked model-based definition, and you mentioned the federal grant, and we all work together on that grant, and we'll continue to work together as we roll that out. But talk a little bit about. So I'm an ambassador. I'm out talking to manufacturers, and they're talking about what they need to do with Industry 4.0. What are some of the benefits of model-based definition? I mean, we know we have to do it, right? We know that the primes are going that way. We know that they're doing model-based systems engineering. But if I'm I'm an ambassador, I'm talking to a smaller manufacturer. What do I tell that manufacturer about why it's beneficial for them to do model-based definition?
One of the things to start as Jackie went through all that, it's not that daunting. That's the beauty of the team. How do we make this so you can understand it and realize it can apply to your business? Don't let it scare you. It seems like it does out front, but there's absolutely very smooth paths into these particular types of businesses. And the ROI is actually very large for a small upfront cost when you're talking about software. And most of these companies have some level of technical capability, engineering capability. So if you can simplify it, and that's what we do, simplify it down so a company of modest size understands how we can apply it. And then, again, how do you actually look at those use cases and look at the shop floor application? That's a lot
of our tribal knowledge experts in manufacturing are aging out, and we're being faced with this new generation that are digital natives, but not necessarily have an appreciation for, oh, this machine's making a weird sound, or that all of that black art of a machinist knowing exactly what to do. Well, you could use tools of software through model-based enablement to be able to take that tribal knowledge and feed it into each use case, each tool, each machine, each part that I'm going to build. And that stays with you, right? That becomes that single source of truth. And then as folks are collaborating, if there's things that change downstream, you're able to collect that. So it's never changing. So the reason why that's important is because you could increase your productivity, you could increase your efficiency, you're driving down costs because you don't have all of this rework and going back and forth to customers and waiting for responses. And then, of course, you're able to, get higher throughput. So ultimately, the revenue generation is going to be really key. And we're hearing about businesses that are really increasing, their profitability just by incorporating software, which again is a low barrier to entry, like Ron said. And our team and the partners that we have out across the ecosystem are at the ready to help.
And Paul, driving, as Jackie mentioned, cost.
Right.
Driving out cost. Everything we do has to be able to demonstrate while you're removing cost out of those business processes. Well, and that's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, when I talk about workforce, one of the streams of workforce is workforce innovation, right? Because we're never going to find people to do this. So this is an opportunity for us to get more throughput, get more productivity, to lower costs and get better quality with fewer people. Right, which is part of that cost equation.
Right.
So ambassadors, did you get that, right? So we're going to, so if somebody says model-based definition, say, you're going to get more done, increase productivity, increase profitability, increase quality, get more throughput, and continue to reduce costs. So if I'm a manufacturer and I want to learn about this, how much do I have to pay for this? To learn about this? Is there cost associated with it? Or?
Well, there's always going to be some costs, and I think that's important to business. But for the most part, these programs that frankly the Manufacturing Innovation Fund and the board and Department of Economic Community Development, the state, have made a massive effort into committing all these resources. So for the most part, there are a breadth of training programs across, whether it's directly on the innovation side, adopting software, adopting hardware, to making sure that your employees, your team, are skilled up appropriately. You're maximizing, the efficiencies of your team. So there are programs, and for the most part, many of those programs can absorb most of the costs. But it's also important for companies to realize, hey, if we're driving out a lot of cost, some investment on their part, makes it more worthwhile. It makes it more serious, a more serious, committed endeavor. And then, we're all rowing.
But there are things that they're going to have to do organizationally: new software, new hardware, things like that. Then more training and things like that. But from a knowledge base and technology and all of that, that's all. That's where you're providing with them that expertise.
Yeah, it's on-the-job training, really, what it is, because it's been evolving over the last couple of years. But we have a team of experts and early adopters within the manufacturing community, and everyone's helping each other. So being a part and immersed of this ecosystem, we all succeed together. So it's been really phenomenal to have manufacturers talk through best practices, or this really helped me. And certainly it's not cookie cutter. So when we have companies that are of like use case, then we want to be able to maximize, right? Because we need to do this at speed and scale, and we're not going to get there by just doing it piecemeal. So everyone coming together has been really phenomenal to see.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, what Jackie just said, the ambassador program, it can't come at a more opportune time, because we've done such great work, and the team that Jackie leads, I would wager that they've seen just about everything. So they can apply different practices, best practices, and understand. Yeah, we've seen this thing before. We know how we can help you. We know how you can fix your problem.
Yeah, this idea just popped in my head, but I'll just throw it out there that we ought to bring the ambassadors out to the Advanced Technology Center and give them an opportunity to see what's going on. We'll do a little ambassador field trip. So
I don't know if you're going to fit 500
people. Can you handle 500 people? Yeah, no. We'll do them in groups. We'll do them in groups.
Yeah, food trucks, and everybody will show up.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, so switch gears a little bit. President Biden had come out with this program called AM Forward, which stands for Additive Manufacturing Forward, and it involves the large primes, OEM, Raytheon's involved with it, Lockheed Martin, and we know, obviously with Raytheon being Pratt & Whitney and Collins, and we're right on the campus of Raytheon. You're right next to the Raytheon Test Research Center there. So when I learned of it, my first call was to you, right? I said to Ron, additive manufacturing, we need to make sure that we get behind this and we get on this, and we're making it a priority. So talk a little bit about the additive manufacturing program at CCAT, why it's important, and then again, how our ambassadors can, when they're talking to manufacturers, can talk about additive manufacturing and where that's going to fit in helping manufacturers continue to grow and stay resilient.
Sure. I mean, it was so new to me, and frankly, every day when I see it, I get excited about it, because I'm not a technologist, and I look at it from the business side, and I say, my God, this is saving so much time. We're able to take multiple pieces that go into assembly and build them into one piece now, or deal with geometries that are so complex, or deal with tooling or fixturing or things that a casting might take months and months and months, and we could do it in just a matter of weeks. I'm seeing cost savings of an order of magnitude, and of course those drive down costs. So I'm seeing things from just a different lens that, wow, there's a tremendous amount of business cases that go with these different technologies. And AM Forward is so important because it's again, an example of top down, bottom up. There's incredible innovation occurring down low, and companies being established and new technologies being developed. But if you don't have that top down, pushing down, saying, hey, we've got to work on qualifications, certifications, we've got to make sure that the government has a role to play in moving these new technologies out into the marketplace. So it's a great example of that. But the program itself, Jackie's right on top of that, and the technologies are amazing.
So tell us about what's at CCAT? What kind of technology is there? And if I'm a manufacturer, how do I access that? And how does that help me?
So there's 7 different families of additive across metal and polymer, also known as plastics, and composites. At CCAT, we have 5 of those technologies, plus hybrid, which is additive plus subtractive all in one machine. And that is something that is our most heavily requested and heavily used piece of equipment. And of course, you bring in the digital transformation, and we have a lot of that work being sensorized. So that way, that is most popular. But to the point of Ron saying about the marketplace, right? AM Forward is driving down from the OEM into the supply base. So those suppliers need to be early adopters. And in Connecticut, we have those. So through our previous, what I'll call phase 1 program, right? It was all about awareness and adoption. And so we had a competitive grant program, which we will be standing up for phase 2, where 6 companies in Connecticut received $100,000 worth of matching grants. And so you have companies like Burke Aerospace, Westminster Tool, PTA Plastics, and 3 others that were bringing in additive technology. You had our CCAT team, boots on the ground, evaluating what exactly is the platform that they need. And then the ROI is just been phenomenal. So they are themselves our ambassadors of additive manufacturing. And I like to say for Burke Aerospace in particular, one of their engineers had a 3D printer in his basement. And so they brought that into their business and were like doing the tooling fixturing work that they were outsourcing, they brought it in-house. And so you think about, again, that speed and the cost savings and, creating those, just creating so much value for your business. So with our additive adoption program, as I said, our phase 2 of that competitive $100,000 is kicking off. But then we also are acknowledging the fact that if folks need to have 3D printers that are of lower cost, there are going to still be matching grants that are available through that. A lot of the design for additive, right? Ron talked about the complex geometries that you're able to create all in one single build near net shape. You're reducing weight, you're reducing scrap, right? So additive could be a platform that will help your business. Not everyone, again, it's depending upon the business needs, so you need a team of experts that go out and evaluate the use case, and that's where our team comes in.
Yeah, well, this program, people shouldn't get stuck in a particular industry. We've had every type of industry you can imagine looking at the benefits of additive. So it transcends the whole manufacturing ecosystem. And my economic development background, I look around at other states. No state's doing it like Connecticut. And for the ambassadors to understand, it takes people, process, and technology. The technologies are there. You've got to have the people to help out there, and then you've got to have this, what we call stimulus capital. Yep. And for Connecticut to, again, make that commitment that we're going to help you along. And Jackie made the point of there was the first version, and it was about those workshops and those demonstrations, that kind of aha moment to hundreds and hundreds of companies. Now it's like, okay, get going. Now we're gonna do impact. We're gonna get a printer in your business. We're gonna show you in your own environment how this works. And thanks to, obviously, the Manufacturing Innovation Fund and you and your leadership, we've got stimulus capital, we've got a great program, we've got a team behind it, and we've got partners external to CCAT, all now moving in that direction that, hey, let's make Connecticut industry an additive leader.
Yeah, I mean, as you and I had the conversation when the president announced that, one of the things that Raytheon is committed to, Pratt & Whitney is committed to, is that 50% of their RFQs for additive manufacturing are going to smaller, medium-sized manufacturers. Right. that doesn't make you at 3 o'clock in the morning stare at the ceiling and go, how are we in Connecticut going to do that? And you know, it's really good to hear that, because you know, you and I spend some time outside of Connecticut, and Jackie, you do too as well, and looking at stuff at a federal level, and for us to come back and say, you know, we're doing it well and we're doing it quickly is great. It really is good, and that's, you know, it's important for, I think, you know, a lot of us, you know, we think about Connecticut in what Connecticut does, right? And when you go outside of Connecticut, you realize how far along we are and how much more advanced we are than other states, and how people are looking to us for that leadership. So we're going to continue to capitalize on that and make sure that we have those advantages. So, all right, so digital transformation, additive. I mean, these are big things that are happening. You know, when it comes to workforce, and we talk about the workforce challenges, you know, we talk about workforce growth, we talk about workforce development, but one of the paths we have to really talk about is workforce innovation. And one of those really important parts of workforce innovation are robots and cobots. And you foreshadowed this a little, Jackie, that this question would be coming. You know, there are jobs out there that we just can't find people to do that can be done by robots and cobots, right, which are cooperative robots. So talk a little bit about, you know, what are some of the things that we're working on at CCAT that can really help manufacturers improve productivity and improve throughput by taking a look at some of this technology and how that can be implemented in programs. And then, you know, again, with that twist with, I'm an ambassador and I want to talk to somebody about some automation things, what are some of the things I should be looking for when I'm out visiting with manufacturers? You
know, Jackie's going to be a lot better suited to handle that part of the question. But you know, when I look at this, it's like, how do you make your workforce better and more efficient? And it used to be, well, we need to maybe just train them up more. We need to just hire more. Now it's like, you know what? We've got to automate some of these processes so one individual can become a lot more efficient. It's not about replacing that individual at all.
Nobody to replace.
No, this person becomes a lot more valuable. And really, as you talk about innovation being the foundation of the strategic plan, it is. And it's a foundation from a technical standpoint, but it's a foundation now of the workforce side as well. In our approaches, and I know we'll talk about that a little bit more, but we are actually looking at CCAT. You know, we're always looking a little bit where that puck is going, looking over that hill a little bit. So we are starting to build out use cases and line up our equipment and our robots, our collaborative robots, in such a way where we're actually demonstrating very specific cases that companies can come in and say, oh God, I see how that cobot is putting a part on a machine, how it's taking it off the machine, how it's moving it down the line. So there's actually going to be live things going on at CCAT showing you know, automation and things that are kind of very relevant to the manufacturing floor. So. Yeah.
Okay.
Robots and cobots, Jackie.
Here we
Let's go. Come on.
So one of the benefits of incorporating and integrating a cobot, a collaborative robot, is you still need a human being to program that, to use that tribal knowledge that one has, that expertise, and to be able to manipulate that robot and then create that, you know, use case, as Ron was saying. So what happens to that person then if we're also addressing ergonomic issues or things that at speed a robot could do certainly with higher accuracy than a human being and for longer periods of time, right? We don't want anyone to be tied to a certain workstation for, you know, more than the required time. One of the things which I didn't mention when you asked about digital transformation is all about augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. So what we're now calling extended reality, or XR, right? You're encompassing all of that. And robots and cobots do have their place in that digital world as well. So there's so much synergistic activity that's happening in the digital manufacturing space that, again, to the point of driving down costs, increasing throughput, productivity, quality as well. So you're having less scrap and you could get more product out the door. And then again, to the human element of it, putting that individual in a higher, you know, more highly skilled job because they're going, you know, it's just going to be a disruptor for a company to be able to, you know, kind of get with the times and where technology is going. And so, you know, to again, the point that the state of Connecticut and the Manufacturing Innovation Fund has these subsidies to be able to integrate any hardware, software, and many other things that a company can do at minimal cost.
And see, some of the equipment that we've got, collaborative robots and some of the printers, we're going to be able to bring to companies with technicians so they can demo. They don't have to they don't have to purchase anything yet.
Right.
Let's make sure it is the right solution for them. So we actually are taking technology out of CCAT now and bringing it, putting it in a van, driving it there, and bringing it to a manufacturer so they can actually have it on their shop floor for a month or so and see, is this really a disruptor? Does this really change some sort of operational process for them?
And at no cost to that that company as well, right? So there's
right. No, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. You know, when you were talking, I just, you know, you think of some of these side benefits of this as well. A lot of the jobs that we're talking about replacing with robots are things that are repetitive. And we know that repetitive jobs lead to injuries, right? And they lead to, you know, so now we're going to be taking people that, you know, maybe have shortened careers because of injuries from doing repetitive tasks where, you know, they're going to have a better quality of life. They're going to be making more money. They're going to have a better quality of life. They're going to be able to work longer, which will be important for us as well. And we're going to go to a manufacturer in Connecticut where there's a 1950s Minster progressive die machine that's being run by robots.
That's right.
You know, and so there's like a stack of 5 machines and 5 robots, and they're all cordoned off. Nobody can go in there. So a little work cell. So it's you know 50s technology and 2020 technology working together.
Your point, though, Paul, is very well taken. You know, think how much legacy equipment is on the shop
Sure.
floor. We cannot expect our supply chain, companies with 50, 40, 30, 25 people, to say, well, I'm going to go spend $10 million and just buy all new equipment. You can't.
Yeah.
So how do we add sensors? How do we add robots? How do we take legacy equipment, connect it digitally on the shop floor, be able to extract and consume data, and automate processes? So a big part of what we do is find an affordable solution, and how do we take their legacy equipment and make it more valuable?
Yeah, and at that point, you know, the manufacturer I'm talking about, it was a $2 million project to do that. You know, and they're a larger company, right? So that, but I said to them, if you replace those machines with new machines, it's a $25 million project, right? So, you know, those machines run too. They run.
Yeah.
They run. You know, you brought some. You mentioned. You know, at the Manufacturing Innovation Fund, and you know, subsidies and grants and matching grants and all of that. Just so the ambassadors know that we have the Manufacturing Innovation Fund, which provides funding for a lot of important initiatives, but the Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology manages those programs for the Manufacturing Innovation Fund, of which I am the board chair. So that makes us, you know, very close partners, right? Very close partners. And, you know, in managing those programs, and you guys do an outstanding job of managing those programs. So talk a little bit about that part of your business, where you're managing these for the state of Connecticut, Department of Economic and Community Development, you're managing the grant programs, but talk a little bit about those grant programs and how manufacturers can take advantage of that, and the service that your staff provides for the manufacturing community, because there's a valuable service there.
Yeah, boy, we could stay this for the next 15 minutes on this one, and Jackie's got all those programs down pat, but, you know, for me, it's very serious. As in my position, being a fiduciary of those resources, making sure that the state government and our partners have complete confidence in our systems and our ability to manage taxpayer money appropriately, follow up appropriately, is very serious. So that is something that, you know, we pride ourselves in. So the partnership is very real, and we absolutely do appreciate that. There wasn't long ago where there was one program, the manufacturing voucher program.
Right.
And that was so popular and utilized, and it still is, subscribed or oversubscribed every once in a while, but others were created, you know, another half dozen or so were created to meet a lot of the different needs. And Jackie and the team work on those, from whether it's workforce or training, and I'll turn over to Jackie on the specifics.
Jackie, quickly kind of take us through what those programs are, and then let the ambassadors know where they can direct people to go. Because there is a web page, right?
Yes,
so,
and so I'll say the URL. It's ccat.us / I don't know which one, programs. And so that one central spot will tell you about the 6 or more programs that we do have. So there's matching grants for, as Ron said, the Manufacturing Innovation Fund, up to $100,000 for companies that are of 100 employees or less. All of the other programs are for companies that have 300 employees or less, with certain other criteria. So we're talking about cybersecurity assessments, we're talking about incumbent worker training for manufacturing, the apprenticeship program for manufacturing, our newly established internship program, which I'd love to close and talk about later. And then also, you know, through our additive and digital transformation programs, we also have those smaller dollar voucher programs as well.
Okay, so here's your opportunity. Tell us about the internship program.
Did you want to close and say something else?
No, I want you can close on that, because that is really exciting. I just want to, again, the leverage though. Remember, as it's not just the state putting some money out there for the ambassadors, there's a leverage to that. So
sure.
the impact to our communities, to our economy, those folks getting drawn into the profession, it's real.
Yeah.
The real impacts.
Well, every dollar invested by the Manufacturing Innovation Fund returns, $7, $8 in value.
It's a great
We
value.
looked at it, yeah, absolutely. So.
And they're not exclusive, so companies can take advantage of up to like that $200,000 all-inclusive for all of those programs that
Yeah.
we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay, so I give you 30 seconds to do the internship program.
So we want to be able to create what you like to say stickiness, right, across our next generation, our next gen, as I like to call them. We're really focusing on the manufacturing ecosystem and those small to medium-sized employers. We piloted a program last year. We had a cohort of 35 engineering students, but not just engineering. So it's important to create that inclusivity across all of the different roles within a manufacturer. So we have, companies that are hiring interns. We have students that are within our own educational system here. We have residents that come back home for the summer, and we don't want them to go and, drive Uber Eats, right? We want to put them into a real world, fascinating experience across manufacturing. So we have our proper cohort 1 launching this summer. It's all about networking, professional development, meeting with leaders such as yourself, touring manufacturing facilities and seeing and showing them what is possible. So that URL is ccat.us/interns, and you'll see there the manufacturers that want that talent. And CCAT, our team, is very much there to make those connections. So very excited for us to go big, right? You're trying to increase those numbers of ambassadors. We're trying to increase those numbers of students.
Oh, we're in the same. We're working together on that as well. So ambassadors, thanks for listening today. And as you interact with our manufacturing community, please make sure that you let them know about the Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology and the important role that they play in driving innovation in our manufacturing sector. Ron and Jackie, thank you so much for joining me today on the State of Manufacturing webinar series and providing our ambassadors with this great information, this important and useful information. So, folks, make it a great day.